Agut Yor. How's everybody doing? It's okay. Agut Yor. Today is a double header. You're welcome to stay for 2 shiurim. You could stay for 1. After the shiur, we are going to cut the YouTube, not the Zoom. The Zoom could stay on, and then start all over. I gave the shiur already on Rosh Hashanah. It's all about the Yomi. We gave a shiur on Rosh Hashanah, the first day. The second day is now. So the program is we're doing Daf Mem Beis first, and then after the shiur on Mem Beis, because today's Daf Mem Beis, just like if somebody had a kash on that, it's like tashlumin. You know, if you have to make up a Shemona Esrei, you first do Ma'ariv and then you do Mincha. So we're first doing Daf Mem Beis, and then we're going to do Mem Aleph. Now, if you haven't done Mem Aleph, it's a fascinating daf, unbelievable daf. It's really kedai to be there. You were there for Mem Aleph, right? You were there yesterday? What? That's the fascinating part, actually. Yeah, it's all about Rosh Hashanah. It's an amazing, amazing daf. But we're going to start with Mem Beis. Now, today's shiur sponsored Eli Nishmas Imi Rus Bas Mordechai and Eli Nishmas Rus Bas Mordechai. That's it. Now, let's go back. The Refuah Shleima of Alti Rechmiel ben Yocheved. A person who's a big tzaddik sponsors a lot of shiurim l'refu asay. His father is on Zoom all the time. Now he's in America, but he's not on right now. But it's a tremendous chesed. I just want to share with you, no emails today, share with you a Neis Nigler, mamish a Neis Nigler. So in this room we had a minyan for Rosh Hashanah, the 2 days. We only had 11 people. There was a family that was supposed to be part of it, and their kid was exposed to COVID, so they had to be in quarantine, and they bailed on us the last minute. So not only do we have to look for people to fill in the spots, but we also needed a Baltakeya. So I told them I'm a Baltakeya because 10 years ago, how you doing, Rabbi? I once blew shofar in the middle of Elul after Shachris, and I only made 3 mistakes. So I said, I'm about to care. I could do it. It's not a problem. So, but I don't have a shofar, so I borrowed a shofar on Erev Rosh Hashanah. And then we were talking about it like after Ma'ariv, and I said, yeah, I'm going to blow tomorrow. And the guy goes, do you know how to blow? Yeah, 10 years ago. Oh, one of the guys is like, I don't think I could daven here. And by the way, do you know Neshima Achas Shtei Neshimas? I was like, what? What's Neshima Achas? He's like, you don't know the halachas? Like, oh, there's halachas also. Bekitzer, so I ran to Rabbi Pessin. Rosh Hashanah night, I go to Rabbi Pessin, he teaches me all the halachas, al-regel achas, outside the door. And today I got here. Come here, Yeshua, come here. Because if I say this story, nobody's going to believe it. And so come here a second. Come right over here. I'm going to ask you a question. This is not prepared. How many mistakes did I make today during Tkiyas?
None. Just the
the Makri made a mistake. He told me to say a trua, to do a trua instead of a tekiah, whatever. 0 mistake. That is what we call a Neis Nigler. Not a single. I didn't have to go back on a single. Avi Mendelbaum is going like this. Oh my God, that baloney. It's impossible. Yeah, no, it's a Maisa Shaya. Neis Nigler. It's during Corona because Baruch Hu gave us Siyat Shmaya. Now my wife tells me afterwards, she goes like, so all these years I had to go to shul for no reason. You could just blow it in the hell. Whatever. Okay, fine. She doesn't realize that it was because of the Neis. The next year I'm not going to be able to blow. Fine. Zok the Heilige Gemara. We're holding Daf Mem Aleph Amud Beis. A new sugya. 5 lines from the bottom. Omar Rav Papa. Peiroi sheyotzu chutz latchum v'chazru. Believe it or not, all objects have a tchum. So just like a human being can only go 2,000 amas in every direction, so too his watermelon and his shofar, whatever it is, can only go 2,000 amas. Perish yotzu chutz latchum v'chazru. You busted the limit. You went out of the tchum, and then you brought it back in. So, by the way, all these charts, that's why I'm late. I apologize for being late tonight. All these charts, I don't know how many, like 4 or 5 of them, all from after Ma'ariv tonight. So I had to draw this and write this and all this stuff. So excuse if they're a little sloppy or whatever. This is where you are. This yellow line is the tchum. Somebody brought the fruit over here. Loi mekayman. Okay, let's get used to this. Loi mekayman. It's not their place. Their place, this is mekayman. This is where the fruit belongs, the object belongs, the chair, the shayfer, whatever is in here. Somebody took it out, passed the line. And then somebody brought it right back to where it started out from. What's the halacha? It's right where it started out from. Afilu b'mezid. Says Rav Papa an amazing halacha. Even if you took it out deliberately, you passed the line, you passed the dotted line, and you brought it right back to where it came from, lo yifsidus mekayman. Pretend it never happened. You're a big Rasha. You were over under the Rabbanan of Tchum, according to Rabbi Kiva, you over the Daraisa, you bring it back, nothing happened. What? No, you stopped. Why not? It was here. But it's not kaina shvisa. You can't be kaina a makam. This is its makam for Shabbos. This is where it was. Bein hashmashis, right over here. It doesn't matter how long it was here. It could be here 6 hours. Then you brought it back. Now, my taima, anusim ninu. Now, we have to pretend that we learned this already in the shir because we did. The Mishnah talks about if a guy lifts up a Jew, brings him out of the tchum, and brings him back, or if his brain failed, he had a meltdown, a mental breakdown, and he finds himself outside of the tchum, and then he comes back in. It's not his fault because he's meshug at the time. Not a problem. He could pretend nothing happened. So too, the fruit, the object, was taken bal karchay. The fruit doesn't have a das. Somebody did it without asking him permission and brought it right back in. Ask the Gemara. So we're going through a little bit of a back and forth here. So try to hold cup here. Eisvei Rav Yosef bar Shmuel Rav Papa. A question on Rav Papa. Again, Rav Papa says nothing happened. Even b'mezid, even the worst, the guy's bad. He did it on purpose. He could still carry his watermelon in any direction he wants in the city, 2,000 amas. So as Rav Yosef bar Shmuel Rav Papa, it says, Reb Nechemia v'Reb Elazar ben Yaakov oimrim, la'olam asurim ad sheyachzru lemekayman shoygigin. So this is Brisa. This is the first saying. La'olam asurim ad sheyachzru lemekayman shoygigin. So there's 2 things that are said here. Number 1, it has to be back in the mekayman. Mekayman meaning the initial spot that it left. You see in blue, mekayman. 2 conditions. It has to be mekayman, the initial spot, and shoygigin. What does Rav Papa say? Mezid. Even if you bring it back on purpose, b'mezid, I could still carry it. Over here, they say, Tanoim. Not Rav Papa is an Amoira. He can't argue with them. He doesn't have the power to argue with Reb Nechemia and Reb Elazar ben Yaakov. The 2 Tanoim say, La'olam asurim, you can't move anything until it's mekayman back over there and shoygig. Certainly not past the dotted line. And even if you bring it back to the city, it has to be b'shoygig, not b'mezid. And Rav Papa said b'mezid. Says the Gemara. It says mefurish shoygig. B'shoygig, b'mezid loy. I could be medayik, only b'shoygig, not b'mezid. Says the Gemara, well, if I can find a Tana that holds like Rav Papa, then I'm good. Tanai, the Sanya, Peritz Yotsu, Chutz Latchum, B'shoygig Yachlu, B'mezid lo Yachlu. If fruit go outside of the Tchum, right over here, in this area, it doesn't say it went back yet, B'shoygig Yachlu, B'mezid lo Yachlu. If it was by mistake, let's say somebody else took it out, whatever happened, it rolled over there, you could eat it. Top of Amud Beis Amud Aleph. Reb Nechemia Oimer. Now, who's Reb Nechemia? Remember, Reb Nechemia is the same person from this. Reb Nechemia of Reb Elazar ben Yaakov. It's the same man da Amar. Reb Nechemia Oimer b'mkoymim yachlu shaloi b'mkoymim lo yachlu. Well, only if it returns to its original spot. B'mkoymim. right over here. It has to come back. It went, it has to come back. Then you could eat it. Now, was it shaygig or mazid? Which one? If you're going to tell me that it happened deliberately, you can't tell me that he's saying that if it came back b'mezid, I'm allowed to use it. Look, it says mefurish. Reb Nechemia says shaygig. It can't be b'mezid. So now I have to say that this new brisa, this new, where is it? Interesting. Maybe I didn't print it. Okay, better like that, I think. Maybe not. Okay, I forgot to print something. Baruch Hashem. So, loy lemasor b'shoygim b'mezid loy. Elolav b'mekoymam b'shoygig. So you have to say that when it says in the second statement that Reb Nechemia says that if it has to be back in its original spot, it can't be b'mezid, because he said mefurish in the beginning, it can't be b'mezid. So it has to be b'shoygig. V'chatzur mechsera, and I have to stick in a few words. This is how this goes. If the peiros went out past this dotted line, b'shoygig yachlu, right over here, and it stays over here. If it was b'shoygig yachlu, you could eat it according to Tanakama, b'mezid lo yachlu. If it was deliberate, you can't eat it b'medvar mamurim shaloi b'mkoymon. And that's because it's in the red. Loy b'mkoymon. See, loy b'mkoymon. Past this dotted line is not where it originated from. Also, aval b'mkoymon, but if it goes back, afilu b'mezid yachlu. If it went back, then you could eat it b'mezid. Also, Reb Nechemia l'meimar, and that Reb Nechemia comes to add, afilu b'mkoymon, nami b'shoygigim b'mezid loy. So now Reb Nechemia comes and he adds and he says, I argue, and it has to be b'shoygig, even if it came all the way back. Well, obviously, if it was over here, no. But if it comes back, then it has to be shoygig only. And the Tanakh says, mezid, So now what? And what does the Tanakh say? Tanakh says, let's stop there. What does Tanakh say? That if it comes back to the city, afilu b'mezid yachlu. Who does that go according to? Beautiful. This is a riot to Rav Papa. This is a Tana arguing with Nechemia, and he says, if it went and came back, b'mezid yachlu. So I have somebody to corroborate with Rav Papa to say that even if it comes back, even b'mezid, I'm allowed to eat it. The guy was over, doesn't matter. It's an original place, you can eat it. And on that, Reb Nechemia says, no, you can't eat it. It has to be b'shoygig. Okay, but at least Rav Papa has somebody to rely on. So now when the Gemara says loy, that's bad for us. Bad news for Rav Papa. Loy, b'mezid, b'mekoymim dekuli amaloi pligi da'asr. Perhaps no. Perhaps if it comes back, don't worry about it. It's going to get easier, the sugya. If it comes all the way back, everybody's going to say that it's asr if it's b'mezid. Everybody's going to, in other words, Rav Papa doesn't have somebody to rely on. And then the question remains, where did Rav Papa get his idea from? We're going to go away from this. Eventually, we're going to go away. We're going to go back to the original step, which is in 1 minute. If you go back to original spot, right over here, you go and come back, everybody agrees if you did it on purpose, you cannot eat it, you cannot move it. And therefore, Rav Papa is in Fahakta Tsaris. He has nobody to rely on. And the whole machloikis is over here, past the dotted line, out of its place. If he did it by accident, if it happened by accident, Goyim brought it over here. Could you eat the food? Can you move the food? Tanakama says yes. Nechemia says since it's not in its spot, it's asur. Says the Gemara. Wait a minute. So right now we have a big kash from our Papa. Where did he get a shita from? That b'mezid b'mekoymim back over here. It's okay. in the second brisa, the top of Mem Beis Amud Aleph. Both Rabbi Nechami and Rabbi Eliezer say, Lo ilam asurim achi yachzeru. Number one, limkoima, and it has to come back to its spot. And shogegin, it says two things. You need two conditions, right? Just so we understand. There's two things going on here. First of all, there is mikoimai, the original spot, and there is shogeg. As we're going to see soon, Tanna Kama holds one of these is enough. So if it's in mikoimai, even b'mezid, I could move it. And if it's b'shoigeg, even if it's shaloi b'mikoimai, I can move it. And Rabbi Nechemi says, I need the combination of these two things together. I need it to be in its original place, and I need it to be a shoigeg. But if it's not in its original place, and it's not a shoigeg, no. So in other words, even if it came back to the original place, but it was b'mezid, no good according to Rabbi Nechemi. I need both conditions. According to the Tanna Kama, one of the two conditions is okay, but the Gemara proves it. Why? Because Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says you need two things. You need Achi Yachzelim Koima, you need the original spot, and you need Shoigeg in two things. Why does it even mention the word Shoigeg here? If the whole argument is only whether or not to bring it, whether or not it's in its original place or not in its original place, so it shouldn't even mention the word Shoigegim. Shoigegim b'mezid loy, miklal the Tanna Kama sova b'mezid nami shari. So the bottom line is that the Tanna Kama holds that just Shoigeg alone, even loy b'mkoiman. So if this object got here by mistake, not deliberately, the Tanna Kama holds you could use it right there. You can move 2,000 amas, you could eat it, you can do whatever you want. Because all you need is either shoigeg or makam. And if it goes back over here, even b'mezid it would be okay. Who holds like that? Rav Papa. Rav Papa says once it comes all the way back to the original spot, you pretend it never happened. Even if it got there deliberately and the guy was over, so Rav Papa has would be Saimachan. We have the Tanna Kama that says exactly what Rav Papa said. Again, Rav Papa said coming back b'mezid. If it came back b'mezid, it's okay. He goes like the Tanna Kama, because look, the Tanna Kama says mikoimai. All I need is the place. I don't need mikoimai and shoigeg. Mikoimai and mezid is enough. Shoigeg and not mikoimai is also enough. Shoigeg out of its place is also. One of these two things is enough according to the Tanna Kama. So Rav Papa is fine. All right, great. Yishma coming out of Rosh Hashanah. I'm sure everybody has a lot of koiches now. He's trying to get me used to the fast, I guess. He's just, weaning me off the water. He gave me half a cup. All right, listen. Water's... Yeshua. Yeshua did a phenomenal job. Setting up the mechitza, the whole thing. All right. Zog the Gemara, Omar Rav Nachman, holding in the middle of the page. Baruch Hashem. Okay, as long as you're not giving me toilet water, we're good. He said he didn't want to give me toilet water, and the only water available was there's nothing left. Okay. A guy's walking, he has no idea what the tchum is. What does he do? He doesn't have a measuring tape. How could he measure 4,000 feet? It's a lot of feet to measure. How do you do it? Says the Gemara, Mahalach alpayim psiois beininios. Your typical stride, one step, is considered an amma. So, if you are in a brach, you don't know where your tchum is, and you need to go, and you know that you have 2,000 ammas, you count 2,000 steps. Are you allowed to count ammas on Shabbos? Are you allowed to measure on Shabbos? No. Isn't this measuring? Are you allowed to, like people take their foot and they go, oh, my foot is about a foot. My shoe is about a foot. They go 1, 2, and they measure a room. You allowed to do that on Shabbos? No. So why is he allowed to measure? Why is he measuring 2,000 amas? Anybody? Pshat? Something? Laibi? No? It's not exactly, so it doesn't matter, but he thinks it is. The Gemara says it's basically an amma. It's not a shoe, it's a step. So the answer is, the Ritva says, because he's measuring, the only time you're allowed to do tchum is l'dvar mitzvah, so he's measuring a medida of mitzvah. Okay. V'zui tchum Shabbos. So now you know what to do. If you get stuck, you measure 2,000 amas with your feet. Another halacha from Nachman Shmuel in the name of Shmuel. Shavaz bibika. A guy, he took up residence in an open field. V'kefur nachrim mechitza b'Shabbos. Huh? I'm back. There's a small temporary. Okay. A crazy story. A guy is in a field. Come the goyim. They want to play like a practical joke on him. It actually reminds me. I was saying, oh, I don't have any maisis to say, but as Chatoy saying in Maskar Yoim, a moyerdika thing. A guy. Imagine this. You go. You know those portable bathrooms. A guy goes into a portable bathroom. I saw this on one of those things. I forgot what it's called. Like those, like those guys, the screens. When I was younger, a guy goes into a portable bathroom, one of those green portable bathrooms. He does this thing there. He comes out. He opens the door, and there's a long, long conference table, and there's 30 executives around the table. There's TVs and everything, and he doesn't know what happened. Like what? He thinks he lost his mind. What happened was when he went to the bathroom, they set down a table, right? Hundreds of people came. They set down these tables and the TVs and the screens, and there's 30 executives sitting around. And he just happened to walk. He went right back into the bathroom. He didn't know what to do. He goes back in, then he comes out. He peeks. Like, that's what happened over here, Lamaisa. Something like that. He's sitting in the middle of the field. He's open field. He's minding his business, and he gets up, and there's a thing all the way around him, like a fence. Like why? So it's a practical joke. They basically surrounded him with mechitzas. So what do? Now, it's better for him, right? Because they just made it a Rishus HaYachid. Could you make mechitzas on Shabbos? We learned Mefurish a few times. You can make mechitzas on Shabbos. Bein b'mezid, bein b'shoigeg, bein b'this, right? You're allowed to make a mechitzah. If somebody makes a mechitzah b'mezid on Shabbos, it's considered a mechitzah. It's a Rishus HaYachid. What doesn't change, though, is the tchum. The tchum you can't change. His tchum remains where it is. He only has 2,000 amas. But he could carry. Until now, he wasn't able to carry. He's in the middle of an open field. But now he could carry within his tchum. Says the Gemara, V'kifu nachrim mechitza b'Shabbos mahalach alpayim ama. He can walk 2,000 ama. Umetalta b'kula yidei zrika. Here. Oh, Motzei Shabbos, excuse the beautiful art here. This is actually taken, a little bit of it is taken from the art scroll. So this red dot is the middle of the field. That's where this guy is at. He's in the red dot. And he has 2,000 amas in every direction. Everything is great. The goyim come, and they make a blue fence all the way around him. So all this becomes the Rishus HaYachid. So now he's allowed to carry within the 2,000 amas where before he was not allowed to carry because he's in the middle of the field. And he's also allowed to take a football and chuck it over here into this area where he's not allowed to go. His 2,000 amas and at the red line. But because it's within a Rishus HaYachid, so he's allowed to throw a ball or throw an object into this area. He can't walk there, but he can throw it there. Yeah? Understood? Kiva, you got it? Ooh, did you learn this sugya before? Very good. He's asking a good kash. We're going to see it in the Gemara in a second. Akiva wants to know if there's a chashash that you're going to run after the ball and get it. We had things like that before. You see, he's holding cup. He's holding cup in Shas. When are you going to finish Shas? How old are you going to be when you finish Shas? 18 years old when he finishes Shas. Unbelievable. Nachas. His father's here finally. Cover Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, every day till next Rosh Hashanah. All right. Zog the Gemara. Umetalta bekula yedei zrika. You can throw the ball any way you want. Now, let me ask you a question. This is a very, very important question. If just for this question, it's kedai to be here. How could he throw a ball from here to here? When his ball, we started off the sugya that the ball is like a person. A ball also has 2,000 amas. So if he cannot walk past this red line, how could his ball walk past the red line? Huh? How could the ball go past the red line? The ball has a shvis also, it has a tchum. A ball could only go 2,000 amas this way. If it's a watermelon, we said it only goes 2,000 amas. And if a whole sugya, a guy took it, put it over here, could you bring it back? You can't roll it out of the tchum. The answer is that it's not his ball. You have to say it's not his ball. It's to understand the sugya. The ball has a different tchum. The ball's tchum is this way, so therefore he threw it into the guy's tchum. That's okay. But if it was his ball, it's very important to remember. Your chafetzim, your kalim cannot go further than yourself. Wherever you go, that's where they go. Says Rav Huna, nothing changes. Zero. The fact that they built a fence doesn't give you any leniency whatsoever. What does he say? He was able to go 2,000 amas before the fence went up. How much could he carry? Arba amos. Zero. Everybody gets arba amos. You can carry 4 amos in Rosh Hashanah. You carry 4 amos is nothing. 4 amos is so Bekitzer, you got nothing. Zero. Big fat zero from this blue fence all around. Zero. Ask the Gemara, why can't you just throw it? What's the big deal? Says the Gemara, because he's concerned that if he throws it, then he's going to come over here to the area he's not allowed to. Oh. So now what just happens, very interesting. Beautiful thing happens here. If I cannot throw a ball over here because I might come to grab it, then this area becomes usher to me. Midrabanan, that's a gzeira that I might come to carry. And memela, what's the halacha? When there's an open area to your area that's usher, then your area becomes usher to carry in. That's the halacha. Anytime you have a wide open area that's completely usher, and why is this area usher? Only because of Gzeir Rabbanan, that if I throw it there, I'm going to come retrieve it. So Mamela, this whole area becomes usher as well, because this is open to here. Says the Gemara, but in the 2,000 amma area, let him carry. Because it's considered as if you have a wide open, this whole area, this whole spot over here is completely usher for you to carry, and it's open to this area. Therefore, this whole area also becomes usher. We had it a few times. We had it like one example that comes to mind. You have a chutzner or whatever, big place, and that you planted seeds over there, and you're not allowed to walk there. And because you're not allowed to walk there, you're not allowed to walk in the whole place. Bekitzer, open area is a problem. Chia barav omar, mahalach alpayim amo. Comes another shita, chia barav, mahalach alpayim amo, or metaltel ba'alpayim amo. Ooh, big problem. He says he could walk over here, and he could carry over here. Now, he cannot throw over here. So what's the problem? If you can't throw over here, we just said if you cannot access this area, and this area is open to this area, then the whole thing should become usher. That's what the Gemara asks. Kiman, the loika Rav Nachman or the loika Rav Huna. This whole area should be usher. If you could throw a ball over here, I understand. Then everything is mutter to you, so it's open. But if you cannot throw any object into this area becomes usher, and because this area is usher, then the whole thing should become usher. You says the Gemara, you're 100% right. Ema metatl ba'arba, not metatl ba'alpayim. I just took away 1,996 amas from you. I thought it's 2,000. No, you only get 4. So what is he adding to Rav Huna? You're right. He doesn't add anything to Rav Huna. It's Rav Huna and Rav Chia Barav say the exact same thing, that you get 4 amas, you cannot carry over here, and you cannot throw over here. Only Rav Nachman Rav Huna, like typically I lay the Shmuel. Rav Nachman, who said over from Shmuel's shita, says you're not allowed to argue. I have proof to my Rebbe. The Sanya Kava say, and now we're going to be turning Rabbi Sai. I already said it on Rosh Hashanah, but we have a brand new sponsors. We're turning to Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg. The schus of a shidduch for his son, Yitzchak Pesach ben Meir Yosef. What would happen if he gets engaged this month, huh? Where the sponsorship will go up to $20,000, my friends. You better daven he doesn't get, get engaged the day after. What? 20,000 is too much? I'm not doubting it shouldn't work. It should work the following day. No, I don't want people to have to pay $20,000. Chas v'shalom. It's going to work. Shidduch for Yitzchak Pesach ben Meir Yosef. And for anonymous, by anonymous, Hatzloch in Yiddishkeit, schus for his family to be Torah Yidden. All right, now we're turning. The Tanya Gebel say, the Sanya, Hoya Moided Uba. Interesting case. A guy is measuring his tchum, right? He measures, either he's measuring his steps with a measuring tape, uba v'kolsam yidase v'chatzi ir. So his tchum started outside of the city. He's walking through the city, poof, and his 2,000 amas are up. Now, believe it or not, he doesn't get the whole city as a freebie. His tchum stops wherever it stops. As a matter of fact, let's say he stops in this shul, in this base medrash, and he has to stop by this table. He cannot even go to another table, even though he's indoors. His tchum stops. So, you're allowed to carry in the whole city, but it just says, he's not allowed to pass. Let's just, for argument's sake, ignore the football guy. Maybe not. He walked, he got this 2,000 amas. This is it, right over here. He cannot go, but he's allowed to carry there. If he can't pass the lines, how can he carry? Oh, what's the pshat? We already know the pshat. What? Throw it. We're talking about throwing. Very good. You have to say he's throwing it. It says you can't walk there, so you can't even walk. Of course, you can't carry. So it means he threw it. So you see a raya to Shmuel that you're allowed to throw into this area. Two girsas in Rashi. Let's go with the girsa that says here. Tais brings it. What's going on here is that he's not throwing this direction. Rather, he's pulling something from here into here. He's pulling it. What do you gain by pulling? That there's no chashash. You're going to go run after it. The whole problem is you're going to run after it. There's no problem. Unbelievable. 86 people on Zoom. Close to 10 people over here. Motzei Rosh Hashanah. 25 on YouTube. Unbelievable. He says there's a lot of dishes that need to get done. That's why everybody's on Zoom, and everybody's going to stay for the second share as well because of that. I'm sorry, I got to go. It's till 11 o'clock, sweetie. So it's no dishes tonight. He is measuring, and he gets stuck. His 2,000 amas ends up in the middle of a chotzer. We can use this picture. Why not? Ein loy elo chatzi chotzer. He could only go, we're talking about walking now, he could only walk up to this line. And he cannot go in here. Pshita. Of course his tchum ends here. So what's the havamina that he could walk here? Says the Gemara, Emo yesh le chatzi chotzer. The chiddush is that he could even walk over here. I would think he shouldn't be able to walk here because it's open to here. He could. Hanami pshita. That's also not a chiddush. I would think that he could carry everywhere. Kamash malan. Now, Taisa says, why is it actually different? It should be aser, and he gives two tirutzim over here. Okay, Omer Rav Nachman, Moideli Huna. He was his friend, so he was able to call him Huna instead of Rav Huna. Hayim Moided Uba because he does as fast tikra. Oh. Hold on a second. Maybe I did have it. Also from the Heritage Foundation, Art Scroll Heritage Foundation. So he is walking, and he's walking this way towards, you see this wall, this wide open wall. He's walking and he hits the blue line. The blue line is his tchum. Could he go into the room? No, he can't go into the room. But what he could do is, Rav Huna, who says, you're not allowed to throw, in this case, Rav Huna says you can't throw past the red line, but this house, he could throw into the house. He's allowed to throw into the house. Why? L'tatel means, again, to throw. He himself cannot go past the blue line, so of course he can't carry in there. It means he's allowed to throw it in there. My time. This is a beautiful sign. This shows me, hey, stop. This is like it's a tzuras HaPesach, you see? He'll realize not to run after his ball. The whole, Akiva said before, the problem is you're going to throw the ball, you're going to chase it. No, not if there's a wall, not if there's an opening. So I can throw it into the house. Pi tikru yoyev v'tzaisim, he says. That's what Akiva says. Chayvetis sounds like that a little bit. I don't think that means it here. I also thought that in the beginning when I read it. Chayvetis, but it gives you a little bit. We're not talking about a mechitza for the inside. We're talking about a hecker for you from the outside. Omer Avuna Bereder of Nasa Ketanoi. Are we geyser? That you're going to, in this case? What's the problem? If I throw it over here, you might come and grab it. So that's a machlokes tanoim. Do we have to be concerned? If the goyim, they pick you up and put you in another city, in a snu bedir or besahar. We could use the pictures from Daf Mem Aleph if we want to. Here's a deer, not a deer like a venison, but a deer. Basically, you put a fence around your field, and the animals, they do their business here, and they fertilize your field. And then you just pick up the field and you move it over. That's a deer, and a sahar is the same exact thing, just it's permanent. That's why you'll see this one has grass, still has grass, it's nice and everything, and this one is just a mess, because that's where the animals live permanently. So, if there's a deer v'sar, they put you in this deer v'sar. But what's beautiful about this deer v'sar, that it has a fence all the way around. It's like a Rosh Hashanah. So they pick you up unwillingly. They decide to punish a Jew and put him into a farm on Shabbos. He's in Rosh Hashanah. It's all his now. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva are of the opinion that in order to be able to walk everywhere, you have to be there before Shabbos. As Shabbos goes in, you can't just come into a new place and say, oh, I own this whole Rosh Hashanah. So, unfortunately for him, it's a terrible story what happened. The guy picked him up and brought him there, or his own brain, he went mental and he went there, but he only gets 4 Amos. So it's 2 steps over here. We're talking about gzeres here. So if you're in a enclosed area, a barn, a deer, and a sar, we're not geyser that perhaps you're going to come to walk further in an open field. And if that's the case, and if we're not geyser one type of walking in an enclosed area for another type of walking in an open area, and therefore we're not going to be geyser throwing a ball into another area because you might come to get it. You see that when geyser in this case, so the Gemara makes some sort of comparison. If I'm not geyser, if I say you're allowed to walk in an enclosed barn, why? Because I'm not going to say you might in a different, tomorrow the guy's going to pick him up and put him in an open field. And he might walk in the open field. No. One thing is there's no connection. If there's no connection over there, says the Gemara, then there shouldn't be a connection. If I could carry, if I could throw a ball, he might also run after it. No. You see that we're not geyser over here, we're not geyser over here. The Gemara is going to ask, but what's the connection? They're very different stories. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva, the Oimrim, Ein lo yela arba amos, and Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva that say you only have 4 amos in the enclosed barn. The Gazri hilach dir v'sarot hilach debika. Why? Because perhaps they say that we are geyser. We have to make gzeiros over here. Once you make gzeiros, and you say that you should never be able to walk, even in an enclosed area. The guy might take you next time to an open area, so therefore I'm geyser in all areas. And if we're going to compare an open area to a barn, there'll be geyser also that in this case of throwing the ball past the red line, you're also usher. You can't carry anywhere because you might go get the ball. Says Gemara, what's the connection? Mimai. You know why there's no connection between, they said there's no reason to be geyser a barn, to say this also to walk in an enclosed barn because you might come to walk in an open area. The two very different places. If I allow you to walk in an enclosed barn, where is that guy? This place, you see, hey, there's walls everywhere. That's why they let me walk here. Why would I make a mistake and confuse it with a wide open desert? There's no reason to be. Avol, tiltulatul hiloch, the mokim echodu. But in this case, maybe I should be geyser. Why? Because it's one enclosed area, and if I allow you to throw the ball here, you'll come to walk and get it. You're not going to be able to distinguish between throwing and walking and carrying. That you'll mix up. So there's no comparison. Maybe we do have to be geyser. You come to retrieve the ball. And let's look at it the other way. Oh, who said we're even talking about gzeris over here? When do you say that entire house, or let's say this guy? If a guy picks you up and puts you smack in the middle of this, when do I say that you could go anywhere you want, no matter how big it is? It's considered one house. This is halacha, nothing to do with the gzeris. Rabbi Akiva said you have to be here before Shabbos starts. And if they pick you up and they force you in here, you don't get that right to carry in the entire area because you weren't here during Ben Hashmashos. Nothing to do with the gzeira. I'm not choishes. It's not pshat. The reason why I can't carry here is because maybe they'll put you in an open desert. And in an open desert, you'll carry. No. It's because there's a halacha that says you have to be here before Shabbos. Oh, so if the halacha tells me I have to be here before Shabbos, how could I learn from there a gzeira of throwing a ball? They're not connected. If you're telling me that this is a gzeira, and you want to compare this gzeira to the throwing the ball gzeira, you might come to retrieve the ball. Okay, we're not really talking about a gzeira over here. We're talking about halacha. You have to be in a place before Shabbos. Nothing to do with, I was geyser because of a desert. Okay, new sugya. We're going to be done in 2-3 minutes. I don't have a clock here. I have no idea what time it is. Anybody? Oh, it's behind me. Shkoyach. All right. Omer Rav. Hilchasa Kurim Gamliel Bedir V'Sar Usfina. Comes Rav and says the halacha is like Kurim Gamliel. We didn't learn about a sfina. We're going to learn about it. Well, hopefully everybody learned over Rosh Hashanah, and they did learn about it. But the halacha is like Kurim Gamliel that if I'm on a boat, here is the picture. If I'm on a ship, I get to go in the entire ship according to Kurim Gamliel. The entire ship is my domain. And Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shua are in a little box. They made themselves a box. They're in a 4-amma box. That's it. Similar to what we just had a second ago. Bir V'Sar, the barn, on the grass or on the mud. Rabbi Akiva gives you a box. He says 4 ammas. Rabbi Gamliel says, go in the entire thing. So Bekitzer says, Rav, halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, you go everywhere, wherever you want. Whether it's a ship, whether it's a barn, a permanent barn, or a temporary barn. I'm calling it a barn, just l'saber size it. Ushmuel Amar, Hilchas Rabbi Gamliel b'sfina. Shmuel says, I argue on my contemporary Rav, and the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel in a ship. In other words, I agree to Rav, the halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel in a ship. I don't agree with Rav, B'dir, Ava B'dir V'Sar Loi. The Kula Alma Miyas halacha Rabbi Gamliel b'sfina. Everybody agrees that you have the entire ship. My timer. Omer Rabba, And this was a very interesting argument. The Gemara is actually going to talk about it tomorrow, but think about it. We discussed this on Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara is going to talk about it a little bit. It's a very, very interesting shaila. If you're on a bus, let's say you're on a plane. You're on a plane on Shabbos. Plane is flying over Europe. It's going 600 miles an hour over Europe. It's busting the 4 amas that you have in the tchum every second. Are you allowed to walk on the plane? Are you allowed to walk? Because as you're walking over Germany, and then you're walking over England. Are you allowed to? It's a good shaila. It's flying over. Maybe you have to sit in your seat. It's doing it for you, but how do you know you're allowed to walk? Because physically, if I slow this down and I look at you, what are you doing? You're walking Dalet Amas, you're walking outside of the Tchum, right over Germany. Yeah, it's 30,000 feet up in the air. Still, you're walking over Germany. You're going from city to city, you walk. Maybe you're not allowed to. It's a shayla here in the Gemara. Says Rabba, no. What I'm looking at is the walls of the boat. I don't care about the boat is going over water, not over water, this country, that country. At the end of the day, you're on a boat. This is your city. That's it. These walls. And you are kind of shvisa within these walls. Says Reb Zera, every time you pick up your foot to move, the boat already took you out 4 amas. It's moving you. So every second, you're kind of new 4 amas. You have a new area that becomes your 4 amas, so to speak, because the boat is constantly moving you 4 amas over the water, a new 4 amas every 2 seconds. Every second that you move, every step that you make, this boat is moving you more than 4 amas out of your thing. So you're constantly being kind of another 4 amas, another 4 amas. My benayu, and what's the difference between the two shitas? If it's the walls or the svara that the boat is moving you, what if there are no walls? Rabbi says that the walls, you're kind of these walls, but if it doesn't have walls, it doesn't have walls. You were kind of shvisa in this boat A. During Shabbos, he jumped over to another boat B. You never kind of shvisa in that boat. Now, Ben Hashemoshes, you have to be kind of shvisa. According to Reb Zera, that you're constantly moving, so you always get a new 4 amas. So if you jump boat, right? If you jump over from boat to boat, they do it in the army. That's how they fill up the aircraft carrier. It keeps on moving, and then a boat comes right next to it, and they put a chain from boat to boat, and they go from thing. I don't know if human beings do it, but I know the schayra goes bad, the missiles and the fuel, from boat to boat. As it's going, 30 miles, 60 miles an hour, whatever they do over there, 30 knots. So I jump boat, according to Reb Zera, would be fine because I'm constantly moving, and I was never kind of shvisa. But according to Rabba, who says it's the walls that you're kind of, but once you go to another boat, you're not kind of those walls. Reb Zera, my time, and why does Reb Zera not say like Rabba? The walls of a ship are not walls to fence you in and not allow predators to come in and ganovim. It's not to allow water in. That's a different type of wall. It's not a wall of a mechitza. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful year. Have a great year. Have a great evening.